The week of March 30 through April 3 on The Young and the Restless is shaping up to be one of the most explosive, emotional, and dangerous weeks Genoa City has seen in a long time. Old grudges will intensify, new alliances will begin to form, hidden pain will rise to the surface, and several characters will find themselves pulled into situations that could change everything. From revenge plots and emotional confrontations to romantic tension and life-altering discoveries, the drama is about to hit from every direction. At the center of the week's emotional fallout is Lily Winters, who will continue to face the consequences of her role in the fake hostage scandal. Even though Lily may have believed she was making strategic moves in a high-stakes game, the people closest to her are not ready to let her off the hook so easily. Devon Winters and Nate Hastings will be especially outraged over the part she played, and their disappointment will weigh heavily on her. Lily has spent so much time trying to stay one step ahead of everyone else, but now she may find herself isolated by the very people she hoped would understand her motives. Still, Lily won't be the only one with harsh words to throw around. One of the biggest showdowns of the week will come when she finds herself in a heated confrontation with Phyllis Summers. These two women are both fiercely intelligent, fiercely defensive, and absolutely unwilling to admit defeat, which makes their clash one to watch. Phyllis will be quick to accuse Lily of sinking to a new low by deceiving Kane Ashby in the way she did. From Phyllis's perspective, Lily crossed a line and manipulated someone who didn't deserve to be used that way. But Lily won't just stand there and take the criticism. Instead, Lily will come back swinging, pointing out that Phyllis has plenty of dirt on her own hands. Lily will remind her that she betrayed Kane first by stealing the Newman empire out from under him and then completely bungling the deal. In Lily's eyes, Phyllis has no moral high ground to stand on, and that argument is sure to make the confrontation even nastier. Their verbal battle could leave long-lasting scars, especially if each woman starts exposing the other's deepest resentments and biggest mistakes. What begins as blame may spiral into a war neither one is ready to walk away from. Meanwhile, emotional concerns will surface in a very different way when Dominic Winters becomes the focus of growing worry. Devon and Abby Winters have been trying to move forward after everything that happened with Dominic's kidnapping road trip ordeal. But the truth may be far more complicated than they first believed. At first glance, Dom may have seemed like he was coping well enough. Children often hide their fear in quiet ways, and Devon and Abby may have convinced themselves that the worst had passed. But this week, signs may emerge that Dominic is struggling more deeply than anyone realized. That concern could push Devon and Abby closer to following through on their plan to have Dominic speak with a therapist. It's not an easy decision for any parent to make, especially when they desperately want to believe their child is okay. But if Dom is carrying emotional trauma from everything he's experienced, then getting him help may be the most important step they can take. This storyline could become one of the week's most heartbreaking developments, especially if Dominic begins expressing fears, anxiety, or behavioral changes that make it impossible to ignore the emotional damage left behind. As if that weren't enough for Devon and Abby to process, they'll also have to react to major legal news involving Mariah Copeland. According to the latest developments, Mariah will not be facing jail time, and that outcome is sure to stir complicated emotions for everyone connected to the situation. Relief may be the first feeling that washes over some of them, especially if they feared a harsher punishment would destroy what little stability remained. But relief doesn't erase pain, and it certainly doesn't erase consequences. Devon and Abby may find themselves torn between gratitude that Mariah won't lose her freedom and lingering anger over everything that has happened. Even when legal consequences are avoided, emotional consequences still linger. Trust, safety, and family harmony have all been shaken, and this week could force them to confront the reality that moving forward won't be as simple as hearing good legal news. Everyone involved may still have a long road ahead. Elsewhere, music and family ties could create a new layer of emotional tension when Danny Romalotti stuns Tessa Porter and Daniel Romalotti Jr. with an unexpected proposition. Danny's idea may sound exciting on the surface, especially if it involves recording the song Tessa and Daniel worked on together. It could be the kind of opportunity that would normally bring joy, pride, and creative energy. But in true Genoa City fashion, things are rarely that simple. For Tessa, this proposition may arrive at the worst possible time. She has already been trying to hold her marriage together and navigate the fragile emotional territory surrounding her relationship. Any new collaboration with Daniel could stir up fresh discomfort, especially if there are unresolved feelings, misunderstandings, or emotional intimacy simmering just beneath the surface. Music has a way of bringing emotions to life, and what starts as a professional or artistic opportunity could quickly become something far more personal. Daniel, too, may find himself in a complicated position. On one hand, the chance to work creatively with Danny and Tessa could be exciting and meaningful. On the other hand, he may already sense how delicate the situation is becoming. If the chemistry between him and Tessa is noticeable, then this project could either bring clarity or make everything messier. The stage may be set for emotional confusion, jealousy, and difficult choices in the days ahead. While some characters deal with emotional landmines, others will be stepping into outright danger, especially in Las Vegas, where Adam Newman will be slipping back into his old life as Spider. For Adam, Vegas represents more than just a change of scenery. It represents temptation, adrenaline, secrecy, and the kind of thrill he's never fully been able to resist. Even if he tells himself he's only stepping into that world for strategic reasons, it may not take much for him to fall into old habits. In fact, Adam may be surprised by just how natural it feels to return to that darker, riskier version of himself. The charm, the manipulation, the psychological games, it all comes rushing back with dangerous ease. This week, viewers can expect to see Adam participating in high-stakes games where the tension runs high and every move matters. But he won't just be there to gamble. He'll also be there to gather information, and that mission could put him directly in the path of Reza Thompson. Adam's interactions with Reza will likely be layered with strategy and suspicion. He'll want answers, and he'll try to get them by slipping into the role he once played so well. But pretending to be Spider again may come with a cost. The deeper he gets into that world, the harder it may become to separate the performance from reality. Adam has always walked a fine line between control and self-destruction, and this week may push him closer to the edge than he realizes. Back in the shadows, Matt Clark will be making dangerous moves of his own, and his target appears to be Nick Newman. Nick is already vulnerable, and Matt seems ready to exploit every crack in his armor. What makes this situation especially frightening is the possibility that Nick could spiral even further if he ends up buying more drugs. He's standing at a crossroads, and one wrong decision could trigger devastating consequences. Nick has been carrying emotional weight for a long time, and when someone is already exhausted, broken, or overwhelmed, it doesn't take much to push them into a crash. Matt may know that. In fact, he may be counting on it. The danger here isn't just physical, it's psychological. If Nick gives in to whatever destructive pull is circling around him, The fallout could be terrifying for everyone who loves him. His loved ones may soon realize that this is no longer a problem that can be ignored or brushed aside. That concern may be especially intense for Sharon Newman, who appears set to spend part of the week deeply worried about Nick's safety. At the park cafe, Sharon may find herself visibly shaken as she fears the kind of danger Nick may be facing. Sharon knows Nick well enough to recognize when something is wrong, and if she senses his decay to a disaster, she won't be able to stay emotionally detached. But one of the most surprising twists of the week could come when Phyllis notices Sharon in this vulnerable state and steps in to offer comfort. On the surface, it may seem unexpected. After all, Sharon and Phyllis have a long, messy history full of rivalry, resentment, GK wounds. Yet, in a moment of real fear and pain, those old GK may temporarily fade. If Phyllis sees Sharon truly struggling, she may GK. That scene could become one of the week's most emotionally layered moments. It won't erase their history, but it may remind both women that beneath all the conflict, they are still human beings who have loved, lost, and worried deeply for the same man. Whether this moment leads to a truce or is simply a brief flash of empathy remains to be seen, but it could reveal a softer side of Phyllis at a time when she badly needs one. Of course, Phyllis will have no shortage of conflict elsewhere, especially when it comes to the Newman family. One especially painful development will involve Summer Newman, whose letter is expected to hit like an emotional bomb. Victoria Newman may be the one who ends up delivering this message to Phyllis, and what's written inside may be absolutely devastating. Summer's letter is expected to contain all the horrible, painful, and deeply raw things she has been thinking about her mother. If that's the case, Phyllis may be forced to confront truths she's been avoiding for a long time. A child's disappointment can cut deeper than almost anything, especially when it's written down in black and white. Summer's words could leave Phyllis shattered, defensive, or perhaps finally reflective in a way she hasn't been before. This development may also spark another clash between Phyllis and Victoria. Tensions between them are already high, and if Victoria ends up acting as the messenger for such a brutal emotional blow, the encounter could quickly turn ugly. Phyllis may feel humiliated, cornered, or attacked, while Victoria may have little patience left for Phyllis's chaos and selfish decisions. Their scenes together are likely to be icy, sharp, and emotionally loaded. Meanwhile, Victor Newman will continue doing what Victor does best: plotting, controlling, and making sure no one forgets the power he still holds. This week, Victor is expected to keep a vengeful promise, and that likely means Kane Ashby will find himself on the receiving end of yet another wave of trouble. Victor doesn't let perceived betrayals go, and once he decides someone needs to pay, he tends to make sure the punishment is unforgettable. Kane may soon discover that getting on Victor's bad side always comes with a price. Whether it's business sabotage, strategic humiliation, or something more personal, Victor is likely to move with precision and purpose. Kane has already been caught in enough emotional and professional upheaval, but Victor may be determined to make things even worse. If Kane thinks he's already seen the worst of it, he may be in for a rude awakening. As this revenge drama unfolds, Kyle Abbott and Diane Jenkins Abbott will begin pursuing answers of their own. The mother-son duo will reportedly team up for a grilling session, and it sounds like they'll be determined to corner someone who knows more than they're saying. Their focus may soon land on Victoria, who could end up getting pressed for information that Kyle and Diane believe could be useful against Victor. This could set up a fascinating power play. Diane has become increasingly strategic, and Kyle has shown he's willing to get his hands dirty when family interests are on the line. If they believe Victoria is sitting on information that could expose Victor or weaken his position, they won't hesitate to push. Victoria, however, is not someone who folds easily. She knows how to keep secrets, how to stay guarded, and how to weaponize silence when necessary. Still, pressure can reveal cracks. If Kyle and Diane ask the right questions, or if Victoria is emotionally vulnerable enough, they may manage to pull something out of her that becomes incredibly valuable. Even the smallest piece of insider information could be enough to shift the balance in one of Genoa City's many ongoing battles. This storyline could mark the beginning of a larger anti-Victor strategy, especially if more characters begin aligning against him. At the same time, Nikki Newman will be moving further away from patience and deeper into outrage. Her relationship with Victor has been through many storms, but this week may push her to a whole new level of disgust and disbelief. Nikki is expected to persuade Jack Abbott to do something significant, and that may involve him finally revealing the rest of the mysterious yacht story. If Jack opens up about everything he knows, Nikki may learn that Patty Williams was the mystery woman Victor hinted at. If that turns out to be true, Nikki's reaction could be explosive. The idea that Victor would manipulate a situation involving Patty or use that information in a cruel or destructive way may leave Nikki utterly appalled. She has stood by Victor through many dark chapters, but there comes a point where even loyalty reaches its limit. This revelation could harden Nikki's resolve once and for all. Rather than simply being hurt or disappointed, she may decide she's ready to fight back. And if Nikki truly reaches that point, Victor should be very worried. She knows his weaknesses, his patterns, and his blind spots better than almost anyone. That's why her growing alliance with Jack could become one of the most dangerous threats Victor has faced in a long time. In fact, Nikki and Jack are expected to strengthen their commitment to getting revenge on Victor, and they likely spend part of the week tossing around ideas for how to strike back. This could become a major turning point in the larger power structure of Genoa City. Jack and Nikki have history, trust, and a shared sense of betrayal driving them forward. If they begin coordinating with real purpose, Victor may soon find himself facing enemies on multiple fronts. Yet, while some relationships are being strengthened through shared vengeance, others may be drifting toward emotional uncertainty, especially in the younger crowd. One relationship to watch closely this week is the one involving Sienna Bacall, Noah Newman, and Audra Charles. The tension in this triangle appears ready to rise, and Sienna may be the first to sense trouble. As Noah and Audra reconnect, Sienna is expected to grow increasingly uneasy. Whether it's body language, lingering chemistry, or unresolved emotional history, something about their renewed connection may feel off to her. And honestly, she may not be wrong. Exes often carry unfinished emotional business, and even the smallest interaction can reopen doors that were never fully closed. For Sienna, this could become an emotionally exhausting situation. She may try to tell herself she's overreacting or that Noah is committed to her, but instinct has a way of speaking loudly when something feels wrong. The sight of Noah and Audra reconnecting may leave Sienna wondering whether she's truly secure in her relationship or merely standing in the middle of something unfinished. That uncertainty may lead her down one of two paths. She might decide to fight harder for Noah and mark her territory, making it clear to Audra that she won't back down. Or she may begin questioning whether Noah's heart is fully hers at all. If she senses that he still has unresolved feelings for Audra, Sienna may start doubting not just the relationship but her future with him altogether. Noah, of course, may be caught in the middle of all this emotional tension without fully realizing how much damage is being done. He may genuinely believe he can reconnect with Audra in an innocent or harmless way. But emotional history is rarely that simple. Audra has a way of pulling people in, and if Noah finds himself slipping into familiar patterns, Sienna's fears may only grow stronger. What begins as discomfort could easily evolve into jealousy, heartbreak, or a full-blown romantic complication. As all of these storylines unfold, one thing becomes clear. The week of March 30 through April 3rd won't offer much peace to anyone in Genoa City. Nearly every major character will be dealing with emotional fallout, dangerous temptation, shocking truths, or unresolved relationships. There's an undeniable sense that multiple characters are approaching turning points they may not be able to come back from. For Lily, the week could force her to reckon with how much damage her choices have done, not just to her reputation, but to her closest relationships. For Phyllis, painful truths may come from every direction at once, whether it's from Lily, Victoria, Sharon, or most devastatingly, Summer. For Nick, the danger may be far more immediate and life-threatening, especially if Matt's manipulation pushes him toward another self-destructive decision. For Adam, Vegas may prove to be both a weapon and a trap. He may think he's in control as he slips back into spider mode, but the truth is that the old life he's stepping into has always had a way of swallowing him whole. For Nikki and Jack, this may be the beginning of a much bigger war against Victor, one fueled not just by anger but by betrayal so deep it can no longer be ignored. And for characters like Sienna, Noah, and Audra, the emotional messiness of love, memory, and insecurity may begin creating cracks that become impossible to repair. By the end of the week, loyalties may shift, relationships may fracture, and several characters may be forced to confront truths they've been avoiding for far too long. The emotional stakes are rising fast, and if even half of these tensions explode the way they are building up to, Genoa City is about to be shaken in a major way. One thing is certain, this week on The Young and the Restless won't just be dramatic, it could be unforgettable.